Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So you know why we are here? You know what we're standing for, right? So why am I here? If you know why you're here, and you know what we stand for, and you want your voice to be yitama, then I need not to tell you what to do, right? Brothers and sisters, Ethiopia has a very, very special place in the hearts of Muslims who study the history of Ethiopia and the history of Islam joined together. This is a nation that every Muslim should forever be grateful for the hosting of the first Muslim migrants amongst the weakest, the most vulnerable, the worst persecution, who fled Mecca to be hosted by your people. Thank you. Ethiopia is not just history. Ethiopia is still holding the key to the blessings of Allah to a lot of nations. Allah is sending a lot of gifts and bounties down, first to Ethiopia, then it goes north to everybody else. From your place starts the bounties of Allah. You have to be very, very proud of your nation, of your ethnicity, of your religion, of your community, and of your history. Your history. Your history is the best part of Africa's history, as well as the best part of Islamic history. Allah chose your country and your emperor at the time, Nagus, to receive people, including the daughter of the Prophet and the third Caliph of Muslims, Uthman ibn Affan. He was your guest and you were his best hosts. Thank you. It is because of this that I personally, whenever I hear the word Ethiopia, I feel it is part of me. I feel it is part of me, and it should be part of every Muslim who knows the history and the place of Ethiopia in Islamic history, in African history, and in the history of the companions of the Prophet. They went there twice, not only once. It looks like they like it there. We have a saying in Egypt that anyone who drinks from the river Nile, he's bound to come back to drink from it again. Even if he gets diarrhea, but just he comes back. So brothers and sisters, as we sit here, there are brothers of ours in Ethiopia today who are imprisoned just for the mere fact that they are resisting the 21st century religious persecution and manipulation of Muslims in Ethiopia. The current government in Ethiopia does not represent the history of Ethiopia, and they need us to tell them. And they need to know that they do not give us the best hope in an Ethiopian future under similar leadership. We have to change. It takes more than 17 community leaders and scholars to be in prison, it seems, to move the masses. I don't know why did we become heavy, but when we put a lot of weight of worldly things in our pockets, in our banks, on our backs, we become heavy. You know why the early Muslims were able to move about easily? to move from Mecca to Ethiopia. These are not two close across the street places. They traveled through the sea, but because they were not heavy loaded with dunya, they were not heavy loaded with luxuries and worldly gains. They were not bound towards people. They were bound by their faith. And this is what we need our children to know. Travel anywhere in the world, but take your faith in your heart and take your Quran in your heart. If you don't memorize it, take it in your pocket. Never leave your identity anywhere else. This is how the early Sahaba, they came to Ethiopia fully loaded, not with worldly things, but fully loaded with faith that shaped the entire world from their point forward. We are not the generation that is going to reverse what they have done. We should be the people that reopen Africa and re-teach Africa and reopen Africa and its heart, its minds, and its souls to the word of Allah. As much as they were able to reach to the heart of the king of Ethiopia at the time, we want the kings of Africa to know that we Muslims are people of mercy. We're not there for oil. We're not there for minerals. We're not invading anybody's country for gold or silver or uranium, as people do invade our countries. We're not attacking the most vulnerable and the least able nations, as superpowers today are competing to do. It is not us who are violent. It is the enemies of humanity who are using violence and weapons and militarization to control world resources, world ideas, world market, world consumers for the benefit of the few elites. Even in Western countries, it is not fair. How could we then expect them to be fair to us? Allah told us, prepare whatever means of power, not weakness. Power requires knowledge. Knowledge requires sincerity. And sincerity requires putting our hands and pockets and money where our mouth is. When we say we love Allah, we should mean it and we should practice it. This is what is going to turn the world around. When Muslims do what they say and say what they do, the world would listen to us. You would be yasama then. The world today only acknowledges the powerful. We have three sources of power. We Muslims in particular cannot live, survive, or gain victory unless and until we master the three sources of power. The first one is the power of our faith, which is only to be reflected in the power of our knowledge, the power of our commitment, and the power of our discipline and practice of our faith. First source of power is the power of faith. I want you to repeat after me. The power of faith. The power of faith. The power of faith. And this is represented, as I mentioned, in the power of our knowledge, commitment, discipline, and practice of Islam. That is the first source of power. The second source of power is the power of our unity as Muslims. There is no such a thing as Egyptian Muslim, Ethiopian Muslim, Saudi Muslim, Yemeni Muslim, Syrian Muslim, Libyan Muslim. If you are a Muslim, live anywhere, so long as you live your Islam, and the only title Allah gave you is a Muslim. Muslimat is your name. That is your name. The Quran says, هو سماكم المسلمين من قبل. It is He who has named you Muslims well from before. So, the power of faith. Second is the power of unity. The power of unity. The power of unity. And the first one is the power of faith. And the second one is the power of unity. The third power is the power of armament. You cannot defend yourself by wishful thinking. Could you? Could you get colonial powers out of our nations by telling them, would you please leave tomorrow morning? Would you? Brothers, that's why the Quran says, prepare, وَأَعِدُّوا. Prepare. Don't go to sleep. Don't forget yourself. Don't forget your children. Don't forget your women. Don't forget your honor, your dignity, your future. Don't go to sleep. Wake up. And when you have the power of faith, when you have the power of unity, when you have the power of armament, when you speak, you yasama. Now, the issue we're having in Ethiopia is typical manipulation of the Muslim masses. What are they using? They are using our weakness and vulnerabilities. If our community was well educated Islamically, the power of knowledge, if they had the power of knowledge, they cannot be manipulated. Otherwise, how could then a Christian government introduces ahbash as Muslim imams in a community of Sunnis? How? But because we have not educated our community, they do not know better. It is on us to lead, and it is on them to follow. Your role as Ethiopian Muslims in America is to shake up and wake up every Ethiopian you could contact in the world to tell them, we must yasama. We must yasama. Brothers and sisters, the world is becoming a closer and tighter village, whereby by the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can travel anywhere in few hours, and you can reach anyone by a telephone call. Why is Islam limited to just us? Simple. We don't learn other people's languages. We don't talk to people who don't speak our language. And we do not open up even to people who speak our language if they think differently. We need to cross those bridges. Those bridges are ours to cross if we want to be yasama. But if you want to be ignored, stay where you are, do nothing, and you are going to be ignored. The world only hears those who speak. The world only respects those who push back. The world only fears those who fight back. Brothers and sisters, in a post-9/11 atmosphere, many Muslims, including a lot of Muslim leaders, including world leaders and national leaders and presidents and kings and emirs, have bowed down to the Western pressure. We, the Muslim masses, would never and should never bow down except to Allah. Bow to no one but Allah. And this will give us our dignity back. Our dignity is not a gift that we seek from a human being. It is our right that we push back for, we fight for, we live by and die for. This is our dignity. This is our identity as Muslims. We do not let anybody ride over our back and just accept it. We don't. Our backs are not good for that. Nor is our faith. Our backs can only bow to Allah. Our humility is only to Allah. Our work is for Allah. Our living, our dying, our learning, our teaching, our efforts, our living is only for Allah. قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ لَا شَرِيكَ لَهُ وَبِذَلِكَ أُمِرْتُ وَأَنَا أَوَّلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. You see, I am the first of Muslims. The Quran says, every one of us should be the first in line. When we're called for truth, we should be the first to apply. When we're called for justice, we should be the first to stand. When we're called to sacrifice, we should be the first in line. And when we are invited for food, we should be the last in line. We should give priority to the poor, to the children, to the weak, to the elderly, to the destitute, to the women, and then men come to clean up everything. Not the other way around. Muslim men, when it is a price to pay, they are first in line. When there is a gain to make, they are last to seek anything from anyone other than Allah. So they are the first in the prayer line. They are the first in the zakat line. They are the first in the hajj line. They are the first in the clean-up line. They are the first in the community service line. They are the first in jihad line. They are the first in the da'wah line. But they are last if anything is being distributed, except if it is arms for jihad. We are the first ones to rush and run to defend our community and defend ourselves. The enemies of Allah are lining up. The question is for us, are we lining or are we afraid because they may call us terrorists? Let me give you the good news. They are already calling us terrorists anyway. Whether you're sitting at home, watching TV, drinking coffee, sleeping, or playing with your kids, you are a terrorist because you are a Muslim. Well, give them the run for their money. Make it worth it. Make this title worth it. And be a good Muslim. Be a Muslim who spreads peace when peace is to be received. And be a Muslim who fights back when there is an attack on yourself, your community, your society, your nation, your religion, your dignity, your honor, your women, your children, or your neighbors. Defend all of the above. But don't be the third, the one who's pulled around, fits all titles, sits on all tables, eats any food, and accepts anything. That kind of Muslim we have so many of. We need the true Muslim. We need the early generation of those men and women who fled Mecca to go to Ethiopia, putting their lives on the line to defend their faith. They could have stayed in Mecca like others, but they did not accept it. The Prophet said, go there. In that place, there is a king under whose reign no one is wrong. We want Ethiopia where no one is wrong. We want Ethiopia back to where it was 1400 years ago. We want Ethiopia, the authentic African Christian nation that used to open its arms for the oppressed, for the fleeing, for the weak. This is the Ethiopia we want. And we will be the first citizens to defend it. Brothers and sisters, I am honored to be with you here tonight, and I will repeat this again. Zarei limen indementen tawakkalachu. So show me the money. If that is true, show me the money. Show me the commitment. Show me that you love Allah. Show me that you love your brothers. Show me that you care for the families who have been imprisoned on your behalf, in our name, in the name of our faith, in defense of the right, our right, and their community. This is a very little sacrifice compared to what they have to endure for Islam to prevail and for the Ahbash to go back to the old new Habasha. Lebanon is where the Ahbash is. But Habasha is for the real Ahbash. Habasha is for the real Ahbash. But Lebanon can take them back. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Just a disclaimer, Imam Shakir, he's not advocating for armed struggle in Ethiopia. He's just simply giving us a lesson. So we will continue our non-violent struggle until these guys who have been in prison, who did not bow down for this repressive government, until they are free and until our ድምጻችን እስከተሰማ ድረስ ኢንሻአላህ